Welcome to the Fightcast, the podcast from the Fight Buddies. We're a bunch of friends who are passionate about fighting games and all that lies in between.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Fightcast. I'm Sin. You can find me at Sin Game on YouTube, where I do a channel mainly on fighting games, but also on retro content as well. And as always, I'm joined by my co-anchor, which is Hayabusa. Do you want to introduce yourself, buddy?
I will, sir. I'm Hayabusa and I have a Twitch channel. I like my retro games and fighting games, which is what we're here for.
And what we've basically got for you today is we've last time we did Tekken, which was something I have very close to my heart. We've gone for something very close to Hayabusa's heart, which is we are now going to talk about the King of Fighters games. Now there's quite a lot to get through. We appreciate there is how many titles are there? 15, 16 titles for King of Fighters?
Yeah, 15 of the main series, and then you've got the 3D ones and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, what we're not going to cover is kind of too much on the origins of it. We will mention it though, because I mean, King of Fighters, as many of you probably well know, is an amalgamation of like the Fatal Fury, the Art of Fighting games, with other references kind of thrown in together. But for us, King of Fighters itself is kind of that kind of gold standard series of fighting games, which in its own right is, if you ask me, on a level footing with your Street Fighters, your Mortal Kombat, your Tekkens, you know, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Street Fighter had that initial popularity, didn't it? But then
It certainly did, yeah.
King of Fighters came along with a different way of doing things. You know, 4 buttons instead of the 6 and things like that. And yeah, it really does stand up well to all the others.
But it was also kind of the flagship fighting game of the Neo Geo, because I think where Street Fighter got ported to initially to SNES and then later on to Mega Drive, obviously Mortal Kombat was on the pair of them. You know, Neo Geo didn't get either of those titles really, because they really ran hard with the King of Fighters games, as well as the aforementioned.
Neo Geo, they did have ports, you know, to the consoles and things like that, but they were sort of in their own world, if you know what I mean, because the Neo Geo was also a home system, and so there were ports to the SNES and Mega Drive, PS1, blah blah blah, but like I said, they were in their own world in a way, because they just produced not just King of Fighters, but there was an absolute ton on there, wasn't there?
There was, and because obviously when Neo Geo was owned by SNK Playmore now, they kind of stayed very almost like ring fenced, weren't they, within their sort of their own little world, as you said. So the SNK fighters really got the showcasing on their own console, and they didn't really kind of go out or bring in the other kind of big franchises, which I think makes King of Fighters actually a very, very interesting story to cover, which is why I'm really pleased that we're covering it today.
Yeah, but been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is just it. I mean, so it was just well, I suppose it's keen to put the kind of a bit of background into it though. That Hayabusa and myself actually come from two different angles in approaching King of Fighters. You see, so your Hayabusa is kind of your classic player. He's been playing it since he was a kid and grown up with them, going through them in time. Me, on the other hand, I'm very late to the party. I've kind of gone back retrospectively under Hayabusa's guidance, and to be honest, I did not know how to play a King of Fighters game, so I came to my sensei to understand how to play them, and that's how I kind of got through the whole series. So I suppose this is a little segue to talk about our memories of it. Now, my memories are very, very shallow, so I don't think they're going to carry too much merit here, but I think for yourself, so what are your memories of King of Fighters, Hayabusa?
Well, the earliest memory I have of King of Fighters was from my local fish and chip shop.
Really?
Yeah, because they had a Neo Geo cabinet in there.
Amazing.
So you'd order your food and play away while you're waiting. And the games they had on it were, I think it was one of the Metal Slugs. I think it was Metal Slug X and KOF 94.
Mate, if it's a Neo Geo cabinet, it's going to have Metal Slug. Metal Slug is kind of a staple for anything to do with SNK, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, opposite that fish and chip shop, there's the local village working men's ex-servicemen's club, and they had a Neo Geo machine in there with one of the other Metal Slugs on it, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean that could be a series we could cover one day after this. But we're here to talk about King of Fighters. So which version of King of Fighters was that?
It was 94, which is
literally the first one.
Yeah, the first proper King of Fighters. Now, just a bit of context to that statement is the first King of Fighters is technically Fatal Fury 1 because the full title is Fatal Fury, the King of Fighters. But we won't go on about Fatal Fury too much. That's for another day.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, we'll save kind of our Fatal Fury analysis because there is a Fatal Fury coming out soon, and we're going to save that podcast for then. But no, we're going to talk about King of Fighters here. So 94 was kind of the first one you played. It is a good game. It is. I mean, it doesn't look dated. I don't think, because obviously I've only played it recently, so within the last 3 years.
I mean, graphically, it doesn't look out of place with all of the more modern ones.
No, not at all.
Because one thing King of Fighters is known for is its lovely sprite work and backgrounds. I think that was half the appeal for me at the time because I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I thought, I've got to have a go on this. Because sometimes if I went up the shops to get some sweets with my pocket money, I used to go and stick a few 20p's in there in the chip shop while and just seeing the attract mode, insert coin, blah blah.
I think people don't really appreciate attract mode anymore because arcades, everyone's got a console at home now. We don't really have the whole thing with attract mode. Whereas for us who grew up in the sort of late 80s, early 90s sort of thing, attract mode was kind of a big thing. I mean, even nowadays, if you go, do you remember you used to walk past Dixon's and they'd have like a console with a with a TV facing outwards with its essential attract mode? You don't see that these days.
No, I mean, like you say, if you walk past like Comet or Dixon's or something, you'd see a Mega Drive playing with the Shinobi demo.
Yeah.
Just repeating on the title screen, and in the arcade, the attract mode, even if your parents said, "Well, you can't have a game today," but looking at the attract mode was still half the fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose as a kid, because you frequented arcades probably a lot more than I did. I mean, where I lived, the only arcade we really had was a Sega park, so we were kind of Sega kind of orientated games, whereas obviously this was an SNK Neo Geo one. Did you play many KOFs in the arcades in your youth?
Oh yeah, I think I must have played all of them at some point, like all of the ones that had an arcade port. Yeah, all of them at some point. But yeah, and when I saw on this Neo Geo machine that it had, because I had played Art of Fighting and Fatal Fury before, and when I saw that Rio and Robert and Terry were all in the same game, I was like, I know them, and they're all against each other.
Yeah, I suppose.
I immediately loved it.
It's kind of that amalgamation of lots of, you recognise characters from other games, and to kind of just essentially amalgamate them into one game, that's a huge plus for it, because it's almost like like when you get bands and they form a super group, like Audio Slave, for example, had the guy from Soundgarden and the guys from Pantera. There are two bands I liked, so obviously the amalgamation of them in this super group is something I enjoy, and I think King of Fighters is kind of the super group of the fighting series, which in its own right has become.
Absolutely.
Would you say? I know Terry Bogard gets ported to a lot of games though, but when you see Terry Bogard, you do think now King of Fighters rather than go, oh, he was in Fatal Fury. Terry Bogard's probably a bad example actually. Robert Garcia. So, for example, you see Robert Garcia, and you'd probably think your brain would probably go King of Fighters rather than going, oh, he was in Art of Fighting.
Yeah, because Art of Fighting is that one that went not under the radar, but not as many people know it.
It's because it's impossible. That's why.
Yeah, it was bloody difficult.
So, I suppose this is kind of one of those ones. So, like I said, you've got kind of a rich history with it. You played through them all. So, over time, you would have developed. I mean, we always talk about the concept of a main, don't we? Everyone in the fighting game community always goes on about a main. Who's your main? So King of Fighters got such a huge roster. I mean, I thought Mortal Kombat had a big roster, but King of Fighters' roster is probably unmatched. I think it's probably got the most. We haven't actually counted it. I know we tried to be thorough, but we probably haven't counted them out. But there's going to be some that you initially gravitated towards.
Oh yeah, definitely. Obviously, Rio, Robert, Terry.
Yeah.
The ones I mentioned, but then there was a gentleman in glasses and sunglasses and a cap called Clark. And I didn't know at the time that he was from Ikari Warriors.
Yeah, that's right. The top-down shooter, same as Leona and Ralph. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it was Ralph, and then it's a toss-up between Leona, Hyden's in their team sometimes.
Yeah, because Hyden's like the CO, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean that is pretty cool.
He was the first grappling character that I ever had a go at. I didn't like the ones in Street Fighter. I could just never get a hang of them at the time. Mate, at the time.
The minority of people go for the grapplers in Street Fighter. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know. In grapplers in general, I've never kind of got a hang of it, with the exception of King in Tekken. But I don't know. I mean, I've seen you stream Clark in sort of KOF 15, for example, and you're absolutely devastating with him. I've been on the receiving end of your Clark in 2002, for example, as well. So I have tasted it firsthand. But I mean, Clark is a very interesting one. I mean, in terms of one that you kind of main. You know what I mean? So because it's like he's not a fancied character, and that's cool. I love it when people gravitate towards what I call the less popular characters. Yes, you got your meta characters. So, I mean, Terry. Would you say Terry's probably the character that probably 70% of King of Fighters players will probably.
Terry's like your Ryu, Ken, and Akuma kind of.
Yeah.
Pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could probably say that about the Fatal Fury fighters because I think Andy would be another one to people go. I mean, me personally, I mean, you can call me meta because you know who I tend to who have always gravitated towards because the Fatal Fury was my Shiranui, who's kind of was always my.
And because of certain other assets.
Well, not just that. She's a shinobi. I like a ninja girl is something that will catch my attention. But I mean, I don't know. It's just really weird because that's who I went for initially. Because when I first kind of dabbled and I went back to I was speaking to yourself, and I started at 94 when I did the series on YouTube. So yeah, I went with what I knew, and the other one I quite like was King. Because King's she's art of fighting, isn't she?
King's another one that I like, as well.
She's so versatile, and she's always been really versatile. And I don't know, mine King, because I mean, for context, for those of you who haven't played King of Fighters, you get to choose 3 characters, and that's where it's kind of interesting. It was kind of like a team battle arcade.
The team element was again a big chunk of the appeal. Yeah, because if you lost the character, it wasn't game over.
Yeah, team battle was something which fighters always kind of fighting games always did, kind of as a little Easter egg, as a little bonus. You could fight as a team. Whereas with King of Fighters, that was the norm. Yeah,
that was the staple part of the game.
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing for me was, I think when I did the series on YouTube was, as I went through each one, you were suggesting, try this person out, try this person out, try this person out. And that kind of gave me a really good round education of it, because it'd be far too easy for me to do the series of going through all the King of Fighters and playing the same 3 characters. Because that's boring. And you know me, I don't like being boring.
There's a certain YouTube person that I watch who you don't like. You'll know.
You're not narrowing it down here.
But when KOF 15 came out, they did the King of Fighters Legacy,
right?
And went through all the games, and they just played as Team Japan all the way through, which is Kyo, Daimon, and Benimaru, and then. When that team changed, he just kept picking Team Japan, and it was always Kyo. Blah 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 blah.
Yes. Okay, so Kyo was one of the ones you first suggested to me. I think I first came across Kyo in '95. Cool, he's wicked.
Kyo is cool, but Diamond sucks. I don't like it.
Yeah. See, I mean, I followed your lead because it was mainly your tutelage that kind of got me through the King of Fighters games. Because I went through Kyo, Iori, Benimaru. I mean, all the way up to Robert being one of your mains. I think it was 2002. I really started getting a hang of him. Jun Hoon, I took in 2003, and so it's just K-Dash is another one.
Yeah, K-Dash, Hua.
Hua. Yeah, I mean, King of Fighters 13 for me was. I mean, I must admit, before I met you, I'd only really played 2002 and 2013, which is a really, really weird selection. But there's a reason for that. I got one on Amazon Prime Game and the other one I got on Games with Gold on Xbox. So I'm gonna admit I didn't know a lot. I mean, Hua I really like. I remember I think I streamed it, didn't I? I streamed King of Fighters 13 and you pretty much picked my team for me. Yeah, so I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I remember I had a blue Hua.
Yeah.
And I kept accidentally making him drink out this bottle and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? that was good, but I mean, playing it now, I mean, I will chill with 2002 and 13 all the time. 13 for me, for context, is kind of as far as I got in the modern era. Whereas obviously, I mean, Hayabusa, if you watch him on Twitch and YouTube, he's big on 15. So I mean, I haven't played 15 myself. I've watched a lot of it, mainly Hayabusa streaming it, but
KOF 15. Do you know what? I don't think I've spent so much time on a fighter.
That's good.
I absolutely love that game.
That for you is what my Mortal Kombat 11 was, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the same kind of deal, yeah.
Okay, I say Mortal Kombat 11. Let's be honest, it was Tekken 7 that I've spent most of my life on. But yeah, anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the kind of characters that we enjoy. So I mean, like I said, the ones you introduced me to, I mean, I like because like Iori, I really liked. I like K-Dash. I know you're not a huge fan of Cooler Diamond. I love Cooler. I think Cooler's great. She interests me greatly in 13 because she's just got. I don't know. I really enjoy playing as her.
You also got an introduction to her through DOA, didn't you?
Yes, I mean with Mai and Cooler going into Dead or Alive 6 was bizarre seeing them in a 3D fight, but they that's just it. They worked. They totally transitioned very nicely.
They blended them quite nicely there, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean that is quite a challenge to go from a style of a King of Fighters style game to what we call a 3D beat 'em up. But you know what? They worked very, very nicely, if I'm perfectly honest. So, but I mean, because I'm just thinking back to it. I mean, I think two of the recommendations you gave for me, I mean, which I really, really ran with, was Kyo, and I really enjoyed Benimaru. Because he's got that. Is that twisty down kick and the electric punch thing? I mean, yes, I know he looks just like Polnareff and JoJo, but no, again, it's the variety of characters. I think King of Fighters is to its strength, because where it has so many of them, it'd be far too easy to make them all similar, and they're not similar. There's the closest you're going to get to similarity is possibly Kyo and Iori.
Yeah, and Shingo, because Shingo is just a fan of Kyo, and he has pretty much the same inputs with a bit of variation. Yeah. I mean, you have your Shotos, you have your grapplers, you have your charge characters, and then you have your boxers. And speaking of boxers, they still won't bring bloody Rick Stroud into KOF.
This is
that's a sore point for me. That is.
I mean, the sore point I have is the way that I saw that. I sent this to you the other day. This guy was trying to advertise some retro thing for your TV, and he was like, "Oh, it's Street Fighter," and it was quite clearly King of Fighters. I mean,
that's right. You sent me the picture, didn't
you?
Yeah,
the obvious comparisons with Street Fighter and King of Fighters. I mean, they do. I mean, I don't think they look similar, but I suppose to the average person they may do, right? What I will
Yes, I
say
mean,
is the kind of variety of characters in King of Fighters is so much more diverse than Street Fighter is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
How can I put it? I mean, Street Fighter has got really in depth now because it's got a lot of things going
oh
on.
yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing Street Fighter.
But the old Street Fighters, compared to the old KOF was definitely more in depth back then.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, let's pick the year 1996 for example. So Street Fighter was up to Super Street Fighter, so they've basically got the 12 plus the 12 plus the was it 15 characters? I think even Akuma was in it by that stage.
Say 96, Super Turbo would have been out, and so would Alpha 2.
Okay, so you're looking at about a Street Fighter. You're looking at about 16 to 20 characters there. Now, how many characters were in King of Fighters 96? It was more than 20.
Yeah, I think it was
32.
Not that many, but it was definitely more than SF.
I mean, I think the point I'm trying to make was, you go back to any King of Fighters, if you choose a character you don't normally play as, you will discover something new. Whereas I suppose with Street Fighter, you go back to it and you're not going to find anything new. You're not going to discover something different by playing an older Street Fighter. Whereas an older King of Fighters game, I feel that you do.
I mean, the Street Fighter rosters didn't start getting big until Alpha 3.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Alpha 3 is the greatest Street Fighter of all time, in my opinion. But but again, that's for a different podcast. But I think with King of Fighters, King of Fighters was like, if you think of Street Fighter, and I'm sorry to keep comparing Street Fighter to King of Fighters here, but if you consider them as restaurants and you have menus, right? The menu for King of Fighters is way more diverse than Street Fighter you go to because you know what you're going to get. King of Fighters you go to because they're the kind of element of the unknown, I always feel.
Yeah, because there might be a new character or on a menu, as it were, a new meal you haven't tried.
Yeah, I mean, I know they were kind of more team-based back in the kind of the early sort of era, but I mean, for example, just like Street Fighter, everyone was the same height, weren't they? Everyone was the same height and had roughly the same basic moveset. You look at King of Fighters, right, and you got someone like Choi, for example. I know I make fun of him. He's got some midget Korean Freddy Krueger. And then you got, all compared to his mate. Who's the fella with the big ball? Chang. Yeah. They were in the same team and they're chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's like comparing Cammy with T-Hawk in Street Fighter, and you can say, oh yeah, but they're very different from each other. But I just felt the difference between the characters was everything was so self-contained and so unique. There was no kind of crossover. I felt
sorry for Kim being teamed up with those two.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if we ever did a tier list on King of Fighters, and Kim Kufwan, he's right up there. You know, I mean,
and he's another one that I really enjoy playing as.
See, I only really came around to Kim in Real Bout, and again, I'm not going to talk about Real Bout games, but Kim was someone I'd seen you play a lot, and I played more of his sons in Mark of the Wolves than I had of him in the originals, which is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, Kim Dong thingy and the other one.
Yeah, you see what I mean? I knew his sons more intimately than I did him, which is madness. But I mean, going to go to that point, I suppose, because King of Fighters draws influence from so many different game series. That's why it's got the diversity that it's got.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah.
And I suppose, the diversity of it all kind of brings us to our next point here, which is, I know you wanted to talk about the different mechanics of the games.
Yeah, because they again, from game to game, it was even if it wasn't a big difference, there'd be something that you would notice.
Yeah.
Even if it was just something as simple as how your super bar works. Something like that.
Well, that's just it. It's the adaptability of it. I mean, I suppose Street Fighter... it feels like I'm knocking on Street Fighter. I'm not, but Street Fighter brought in the super bar, and that's all it ever became was the super bar. Whereas, King of Fighters just brought in so many more different aspects of fighting, which I suppose
I will say I'm not a fan of the early KOF super bars.
Yeah.
Because they worked the same way as Art of Fighting, where you have to press all the buttons and you charge up.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't think I ever managed to pull that off, so it never bothered me because I could never do it. So,
Yeah.
but I will say, no, so this is what I mean. With the super inputs, from what I remember of King of Fighters, is they were kind of like half crescent towards, full crescent back. That's a big input. That is quite.
Yeah.
That's an SNK hallmark, because it's not just the King of Fighters games that made you put things like that in for supers. Because I distinctly remember Wacky Wacky 7 being the same.
Yeah,
So-
that had complicated. Well, not complicated.
It's not
but,
complicated. It's just more. It's more full on.
more movement requirement.
Yeah, which makes the timing of it even more expert to catch at the end of a combo.
Yeah, I mean, you take EO for example.
Yep.
There's one of many combos you can do with him where it juggles the opponent into the air, then you do quarter circle back, half circle forward, and a punch, and that's his. I can never remember the name, the actual name of the move, but that's where he chucks the flame forward and then they land on it.
Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
what I mean. Is like King of Fighters, right? Because of that, it required that extra notch of mastery. Do you know what I mean? It was sort of like, but it was more satisfying when you got it right.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, again, anyone can throw a super fighter. Well, I say anyone. Well, most people will be able to throw a Shinka Hadouken in Street Fighter, because that's just you know,
everybody can do
half crescent punch. You know what I mean?
the double Hadouken forward. Yeah.
Yeah, so double Hadouken forward. Yeah, everyone know that, and yes, I know that it's the fact we refer to a half crescent as a Hadouken movement, or or a reverse one of them is a Tatsu. We know that, so that is Street Fighter's legacy. But I don't know. They just felt like, even though the inputs were more intricate, which was Tatsu back, Yoga Flay forward to do a super, catching that, you felt really good about yourself. That was all the hard work has paid off. All those hours spent in practice mode, getting that muscle memory made it worth it. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah. Oh, I've just thought of that super's name, Shiki Orojanagi. That's it.
How on earth did you remember that? That's insane.
It's not its full name. I think it's something 108 Shiki Orojanagi, something like that, because all of his moves have numbers before it.
Yeah, you know what? At the end of this, I'm going to fire up 13 and grab a look in practice mode, because I really I like the fact that, I'm not saying that it's harder for newer players to do it, but it gave you something to aim for, and this is what I mean is with with the modern games, everything's too easy to come by. There was no. Back in the day, we would have to practice. It's like playing a piano when you're a kid at school. You had to practice. You didn't just walk up and play Mozart. No, you had to put the yards in. You had to practice. You had to pay your dues. You had to. Whereas nowadays, we live in the era of the one-button super, and it just feels so cheap, compared to the inputs that we would have had to do back in the day.
Yeah, I mean the in 14 and 15, the combo mashing, I am not a fan.
Yes, I've heard you mention this on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I've had a good moan about this.
I know, but I mean, this is the platform we had to do it. So when you talk about the combo mashing, you're talking about the kind of the simplified mode of playing the modern KOF games.
So what it will do is, say if you're playing on PlayStation, for example, you have the opportunity to either punish your opponent or it's your turn to hit them, whatever you want to call it. You mash square, and it will do the combo for you. And if you've got super bar, it will go straight into the super for you.
So,
sorry,
mate.
This is just me being a bit of a purist, and I'm not having a go at less skilled players here. But there's no skill in it. It don't make you learn. It makes you lazy.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose learning something new and being able to pull it off is satisfying. If you just
And I
literally
know
just do
it's
it by
only-
pressing
I know
one
it's
button.
only I know it's only video games, but practice, it makes it a bit more fun and you get better.
Yeah, but I mean, you have dedicated a lot of time to learning something. To see that
Yeah.
basically transposed to a single button press, is the timing crucial for that? Do you have to get the timing right to pull that off? Or could you just basically go square, 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 and suddenly it's just pulls off some devastating combo?
Well, the thing is, if it gets blocked, for example, if you mistime it,
Yeah.
it will still do loads of chip damage.
Okay.
Yeah, which is if you've got them stuck in the corner and they're on low health, all you have to do is go da 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 da, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm trying not to be a snob about it here, but as someone like myself who has spent so much time in practice mode, that
No, it's like you with Tekken, isn't it?
yeah,
With what they've introduced in the last couple of games.
yeah. I mean, I said I got annoyed with it in Tekken. I got annoyed with it in like Mortal Kombat 11. That you can literally press the fatal blow in Tekken in Mortal Kombat, for example. You press two buttons and then you just release some devastating combo. Where's the skill in that? I mean, I suppose in your case, it's like that's what I was asking about the timing. Do you have to get the timing right to at least pull it off? But if it sounds like you just basically smack the button repeatedly, that for me sounds like a bit of a cop out.
So if you do have to time it right, obviously, because if you mash and you're not hitting nothing, it won't engage.
Okay, so it's dependent on actually hitting the opponent, regardless of if they're blocking or not.
Because, like I say, even if it's blocked, it'll still do it all.
I don't understand that as a system. It just
Yeah.
look. I understand that it's there to get new players engaged and almost try and put them on a level playing field with a seasoned player. But I'd argue this: that's not fair. Is my opinion on it. So, for example, if you had someone who has been practicing for years and has got to the skill that they're at by hard work and practice, then all of a sudden someone comes in and they're automatic at level playing field because it's been adjusted. That's the equivalent of someone who started playing tennis 2 weeks ago and is suddenly eligible for Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Isn't that? I mean, I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but it just feels like, you know, to get to this stage of playing at Wimbledon, you have had to practice, to put the sacrifices in, to, you know, go through the lower ranks to do it, and then all of a sudden you can be allowed to be toe to toe for someone who isn't quite sure how to hold the racket right, but because they've simplified it to the degree, they're on a level playing field. I don't find that fair.
No, you're totally right. I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that someone new to the series isn't allowed to compete. I am not saying that at all. But I'm just saying it's sort of like, in theory, someone...
You got to pay some dues first.
Yeah, someone who has been practicing and put the hard yards in before should be able to beat someone who is a novice, but because of the way that it's structured these days, it's kind of almost... It's almost what is called a rubber banding effect in driving games.
Yeah, when you get so far in front, you get blue shelled.
Yeah, he's a Mario sort of reference.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, this is what I mean. It's like, I mean, this was another point which we kind of wanted to mention is, so people who basically come in and their first King of Fighters is 15, they never had to touch the striker system in 99 to 2001.
Yeah. They've never had to fiddle around with that.
Do you see what I mean? Do you want to just quickly talk us through the striker system, mate?
Yeah, well, 99, the first game it was brought in, this striker system, it was done right. I will give it that in 99, because all it was to continue a combo, or if you were on the back foot, you'd call the striker in while you were blocking and they would just knock the opponent away so you can get on the front foot.
Right.
And that was fine. There was nothing wrong with that. But then they changed it with all these extra character fiddling in 2000, and then in 2001, the more strikers you picked, the less characters you had in your team to do the actual fighting.
So, I mean, I suppose this is akin to like the cameo system in Mortal Kombat 1. That it's just a combo extender.
Yeah.
Because I must admit, I never understood the striker system. I never got it working.
That was the one in 99.
Right.
The worst one of it was like I say, is 2001 because it limited your team and how many you could have.
Right.
You could have one fighter and 3 strikers, but also you needed 3 super bars to use them.
Which means you've obviously got to get an upper hand at some point in the match. It's not kind of the catch-up mechanic that we've become accustomed to in modern fighters.
Yeah, and to be fair, 2001 controls like arse anyway.
2001 is, I'm going to come out and say, I don't know how popular 2001 is. That is probably the least favourite game of the King of Fighters series for me. I'm including the when they try to go 2.5D in that. Because I know they get a bad rep, like Maximum Impact, but I'm going to defend them.
I used to not like the 3D ones for quite a long time until I got my PS2 emulator working, and I downloaded 2006 or Maximum Impact 2, depending on what country you're in. And yeah, I absolutely love it now.
It is good. I've only played Maximum Impact 1. That's the one with Neville in it, the girl with the glasses and the catsuit.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the only one I've played. Again, I suppose we're going to come on to this. Is the difficulty ramp when you get to the bosses in the King of Fighters games is typical of every SNK game ever conceived.
Like you say, we'll get onto that shortly. But yeah, there's a big jump up, isn't there?
There always is. But I must admit, they weren't popular, but I personally liked them. So the striking system, I say, from my perspective, I know you tried to explain it to me at the time. I just didn't get it, and I used to use it as an extra roster slot that I could choose my 3 fighters of a roster of 4. I treated it like Pokemon, if I'm honest. But because the way I always used to do with when I picked my 3, I'd always go for my 2 ringers, which was mine King, and then it was what I call my experimental fighter. As time went on, I could then count on Kyo as one of my ringers. So then I had a pool of ringers, and I suppose that's the natural evolution I feel that you go through. If you go from King of Fighters 94 to 2003, that is the natural evolution that you will go through.
That's right, yeah.
Is it suffice to say I've done it properly?
I would say you've played that with quite a straight back, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I'll take that.
Yeah.
But the striking system wasn't in 2002, was it? That was just a straight up sort of team fight, wasn't it?
2002 it went back to normal.
See, personally for me, of the classic KOFs, 2002 is by far the best. And if you bring Ultimate Match into it, that's the Alpha 3 of the King of Fighters series.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you got vanilla arcade version 2002, which was terrific.
Which is good, yeah.
Played very nicely. And then you got 2002 Unlimited Match, which is just a dream match game, as they call it. But
it's so good.
Yeah, such a good game. Very, very good game.
I must admit, because I think I had a little chill dabble with it the other day, and that's the game I really like. Yuri. I know you're not a huge fan of Yuri Sakazaki, but I that was the game I remember. Oh yeah, I really like Yuri, and you were like, "Why are you playing as that?"
I was like, what are you doing that for?
She's good. She's good. I don't know. 2002, I think, was probably the most complete of
you would like Yuri in 15. She's actually very good.
I do need to get 15. I know it sounds a bit bizarre that I'm engaging you with a podcast based in King of Fighters, and I haven't played KOF 15. The last one I played was 13.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've seen enough of it that I can draw my own conclusions with it.
Yeah.
But one of the things which kind of came about, roughly again, 2001, 2002, what came out on Tekken Tag Tournament. 2003 became a tag fighter.
Yeah, it had the tag mechanic, and I believe I'll probably be corrected in the comments. I believe 11 had a tag mechanic, but you had to have bar to do it.
Okay, it's not just like you just hammer a button and they tag in like they do in the Tekken games. Because if you think, citing another SNK kind of game here.
In 2003, you could tag in and out.
It's not like Kazuna Encounter. You had to be in that area, didn't you?
Yeah, you had your little zone.
Yeah. There was like a tag zone. It's a bit like the turnbuckle in wrestling. It's like,
That's it. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean that's interesting that it's like tag fights just started getting momentum in 2003, and obviously King of Fighters then thought they'd kind of jump in on that.
Yeah, because at that time you had MVC, didn't you? So.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, this is just it. I mean, this is the natural evolution of the fighting game genre.
Yeah, because once one game has a mechanic that the others have never had, then all of them jump on and have a go at it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I think Tekken Tag was the first time I came across it. Then, of course, you had your was it X-Men vs Street Fighter? That had it.
Yeah,
I remember it.
Where you could tag in and out on that, except on that shitty PlayStation version.
I think I've only played the arcade ROM, to be honest. So.
Yeah. No, you played the correct one. Well, and the Saturn version is just as good as arcades. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard so many good things about the Saturn version. So yeah, but I mean, okay, I mean, it just kind of shows the diversity of King of Fighters. The fact that in 2003, and it was only really 2003 that had the kind of tag element of it.
That's
I mean,
right, yeah.
I like a tag fighter. I think tag fighters have its place. Initially I hated it. I used to think it was like a sign of weakness that you batter someone and then last minute.com they're bringing a fresh fighter. But no, there's that real strategy to it, isn't there?
Yeah, you gave someone a chasing and then, oh, here's my partner, full health.
Yeah, but I suppose having it in 2003 and then to not have it again kind of felt like a bit of a tease. Do you know what I mean? KOF 13 would be so good if you could just tag in whoever, whenever.
Yeah, you could have. Perhaps they could have done, traditional, and then have a tag mode maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they could do that in a future game.
It just feels like it was a previously popular way of doing things, and it's like, oh, fighting games have moved on since then. We don't need to do things like this now. I go, no, I love tag fighting. I love team battle. You just don't see it around these days anymore, which is a shame, I think.
No, because it was a very brief period where everything had tag in it.
Tag was hot property, yeah.
Yeah, and then after 3, 4, maybe 5 years, well, it's all gone now.
Yeah, it's just gone back to the kind of way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose. I mean, the next thing I suppose we're going to talk about is the thing I think that defines lots of the King of Fighters is the bosses. Now.
Yeah. The bosses are.
It's a point of notoriety, I would say, at this point, because I mean, SNK games we know always have tough. There has never been a King of Fighters that has what I would call an easy boss. That doesn't exist.
No, they all make you work for it.
Some more so than others. I mean, there are certain bosses that I have lost my absolute temper with. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll put them in 3 categories.
Okay.
They'll make you work for it, but they're still winnable.
Yeah. So yeah, who would be in that category?
Somebody like Kusanagi, which is basically evil Kyo.
Yeah.
Or Chrysalid or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Then there's the second category, which is the ones like.
So how do you mean? So the second category.
Go-nuts, the ones that are
go nuts.
Very, very, very difficult. But if you're on your game and you play, I was going to say play properly. That's probably the wrong term.
Yeah, no, you can chip at them.
And and if you don't overcommit yourself, you'll beat them.
So like Orochi.
No, Orochi belongs in this.
In category number 3. All right, what's category number 3, mate?
Category number 3, the absolutely cheating buggers.
Just the borderline unfair ones, yeah.
If you whiff a jab, that's half your health bar gone.
Yeah. I mean, I know I said we were going to stick the King of Fighters games, but I have such horrendous difficulty with was it Maizumi in Neo Geo Battle Coliseum? because he's based on Orochi in '97.
Mizuchi,
Yeah, Mizuchi, that's it. I mean, he's basically Orochi from '97, except I could beat Orochi in '97, but I struggle like hell against Mizuni.
But these category 3 ones are like Omega Rugal.
Oh, Omega! I've never beaten him in 2002 Ultimate Match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never beaten him.
C0.
Who's the Pratt with the coat?
Yeah, that's C0.
That's
Looks
C0.
like Tom.
Yeah, and he's got this like Phoenix coat, which he can just hit you across the screen with, and it's just ridiculous.
That's right, yeah. And then I was just going to say he's another one with a coat, but he also fills the screen up with his crap. It's Ignis.
Yes. I mean, like I said, it's been a while since I've gone through all of these, and I must admit that my memory gets a bit shady, and I can't remember which boss is which end fight. I've beaten Rugal before, but I don't know if that was an earlier one, so I want to say maybe a '98, possibly.
Yeah, because Rugal was in that. Yeah.
I've definitely beaten Rugal before.
Yeah. And you also beat Rugal in '94, '95, didn't you?
Not '94, but yes, '95. I've never beaten '94.
'94 Rugal, the first round is fine. You can beat him, and then the second one when he takes his gear off, it's if you try and press a button or try and play it like a video game and have fun, he'll just kick your ass.
What's he got? Is it a genocide cutter, isn't it, or something like that? He's got, isn't it?
Yeah, the anti-air kick. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. I mean, you probably say I jump too much, but that's my combo starter. But I mean, like I said, back then I was playing like a Mai, so I was trying to set up for that kind of that flaming back hit that she does, because I will always try and push someone into the corner and then catch them with that flame because there's nowhere to go. But you just don't, because it's just going to genocide cut you to absolute oblivion.
Yeah, I mean they transferred not original Rugal, but God Rugal in, just to go off on a slightly different game for a second. But they put that in CVS2 as God Rugal.
God Rugal, not Omega Rugal, God Rugal.
Yeah, because and he's only called God Rugal because he's been infused with Akuma's power.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's ludicrous. Okay, I mean, if we look at the kind of the modern era, I mean, I've seen, was it Otama, the thing with the feather boa that seems to basically take up the entire screen.
She looks like she's a member of the NWO.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Otama something, isn't it?
Otoma Raga, yeah.
Yeah. That, again, just when it does that kind of that double slam and it takes up the entire screen, I can't find a justification of having a boss that literally gives you zero places to go. Like, like a bullet hell game, a flying round shooter, a shoot 'em up, and there's literally nowhere you can go for any remote amount of sanctuary. I don't find that fair. That's not a level playing field for me.
But do you know who's the most unfair in 15? Because there's 2 boss challenges. There's Omega Rugal.
Yeah.
And then there's Gonitz.
Oh, not Gonitz.
And Gonitz, the boss challenge in 15 is, it's not for the faint of heart.
Well, one would argue that's why it's called challenge. I think I've only ever beaten Gonitz in SVC. That's the only time I've beaten Gonitz. I think I rage quit.
Just a quick mention on that, because it's been released on. It's got a modern version now, isn't it? SVC.
Yes. You actually messaged me about this the other day, actually.
Yeah. Just a quick thing about Gonitz in that game. Every time he goes, "Go disco."
Yeah, that's PTSD straight away.
Yeah.
That's the lightning bolt, yeah.
It's the little tornado things.
Oh, the tornado, yeah. I just don't know. I just don't like the way he knows where you are. I mean, SNK Games is one of those ones. Certainly on my content, you hear me say the word input reading over and over again, but I'm not wrong, am I?
No, you're absolutely spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I understand that you got to create a challenge though, but when the computer takes that split second calculation of what you're going to do and where you are, and then just knocks you out, it's ridiculous.
Reading in the arcade versions, I could totally understand because they want your money.
Yeah, they're there to take your money. Yeah, absolutely. But on a home port, come on now.
In the home ports, not maybe do it so much.
Yeah. And yet, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I even lost my temper with, because I said I play 13 quite a lot. Who's the devil? Who gets the devil face, and then you told me you just sweep him to oblivion. That guy, the one before Ash.
Oh, Magaki. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that insane? That if you try and take him on head on, you probably get battered. But
If you try and play the game, he'll win every time.
Isn't that mental?
But all you have to do is just either crouching fierce punch or sweep.
Sweep him.
Yeah.
Sweep him, and if you're like me and you're king, you just basically throw the old venom strike occasionally if you get bored.
Yeah.
That's why we do it. I mean, like I said, again, Ash was, the sound effects aside, quite a tough boss, but those sound effects just ruined it. What potentially was almost a ethereal, terrifying boss when you go, every time it throws the fireball, I was like, I remember that. And the first time I come across that, I was like, what is going on?
It's like that noise you made
at school.
At school.
Yeah, I don't know, it was. I'm not saying 13's a bad game. No, on the contrary, I think 13's really, really good. But that was just strange.
Is one of the community favourites. Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that was really bizarre. I mean, I like the way 13 kind of set itself up. I mean, when you played the home port, I've tried it in 360, where it's the way you got the different branches of the story mode. I think that's really cool. That's a real evolution of the game, rather than your classic arcade mode, fighting, boss, done. Whereas,
just like a classic arcade mode, yeah.
Yeah, whereas kind of 13 kind of gave you... if you remember like Dead or Alive, the Dead or Alive games did that. They kind of have like a branch story, and then you choose which way of the story you want to kind of look at.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, 13 was like that, but unfortunately that's only as far as I ever got. What was 14 like?
14, how can I put it? It's been blown out of the water by 15.
Yeah, you are very full of praise for 15. That is really good. So,
I'll go back to it now and then, but this is just me making mistakes. I forget that it doesn't play quite like 15, so I get bored with it and turn it off again.
Yeah, it's like if you go back to Tekken 6 after playing Tekken 8, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
If 14 is going to be your first game, you can't go wrong. It's a good game.
Yeah. You know what? After all this talking, I'm thinking I need to pick up 15. I really do. Yeah. 13 as far as I've got. Must admit, I do tend to hover around 2002 if I want to play casually. And that's about it. I kind of did the original. I did the original ones. I'm pleased I did the original ones just so I had that kind of experience and, as you said, paying your dues.
You played all of the main crux of the series, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I said, this is a shameless plug here. If you look on my YouTube channel, I've gone from 94 to 2003 and then Maximum Impact before I start hammering 13. But, so it's like I have some experience of it. It's nowhere near as much as yours, but at least it opened my eyes to the series, and this is kind of my perspective as what I would call a relatively new player on the King of Fighters games.
Yeah, because it's like what we said just before we started recording. We're very much at the opposite ends of the scale.
Yeah, we're meeting in the middle with this particular podcast. Yeah, what was the next point you wanted to talk about on this subject?
Where are we? We've talked about the bosses, haven't we? So the upcoming DLC for 15.
Ah, yes, you wanted to talk about that. So go for it. The floor is yours, mate.
So my view is on adding Vice and Mature, or Mature, whatever you want to call it.
I always call it Mature, yeah. I don't know, it's probably wrong, but don't listen to me.
People want to say it. It's hard to tell these days, but there's always some bugger correcting you. Anyway,
That's the internet for you, mate.
But I have never been a fan of these two characters. I'm bordering on even being disappointed.
Oh, really?
Just from a personal point of view, there's so many better characters they could have added.
Okay, given the choice, if you were to bring in a team of 3 as a new DLC pack for King of Fighters 15, who hasn't been in before, obviously.
What I would do is I would bring in one team and then some individuals like they have done.
Okay.
Because, like for example, Kim Kafwan, he came in as an individual.
I mean, that's a pretty big individual to come in.
Yeah. So what I would do, because of the Terry and Mai being in Street Fighter, I'd bring in a Street Fighter team.
You're suggesting a guest character?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You got a team of 3 from Street Fighter to bring into King of Fighters 15. Who are you bringing?
I would have. I'd have a team of good guys. I think.
Okay.
And then it would probably, knowing how the community thinks, it would probably end up being Ken, Chun-Li, and Guile.
And here's me hoping for a Cammy.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. But then what I would also do is put in Shin Akuma as the third boss challenge.
Oh my god. Shin Akuma in every aspect of where he's popped up just breaks my face. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Shin Akuma in Tekken 7 Treasure Mode. Oh my god, I can't stand him. He just drives me up absolutely nuts. Okay.
He's a bit vicious.
Okay. I mean, I know one of the teams they brought in a previous DLC pack was the Team Garrow. Now, again, I said I wasn't going to go on about this, but I'm just going to come back. Garrow Mark of the Wolves was one of the best fighting games ever made.
You've been itching to get that in.
I know, and I told you I was going to slot it in. I just didn't tell you when. Yeah. So I'm coming with it. So that was Gato, Janae, and Rock. I mean, that's a good team, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I do like Gato. He's good. He's good.
Yeah, but I mean, you could bring in. What's stopping you bringing in another Garrow team? You could have T-Zoc. Who's the emo dude?
T-Zoc is already in it. He's king of the dinosaurs.
Oh god, he's got rid of an eagle mask and he's a dinosaur now. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Bad example. Hotaru. I love Hotaru. I mean, she made it to Battle Coliseum, but
personally, who I would bring in, it would be from the Fatal Fury.
You go Fatal Fury, would you?
Yeah, I would bring in my boy Rick Stroud, the boxer, Native American boxer.
All right.
Because he's only been in one mainline game.
What about Primrose? Would you bring Primrose? Bob Wilson? Would you bring Bob Wilson in? He's just like, he was Eddie Gordo before Eddie Gordo was a thing.
No, I would actually bring in his master, or sensei, whatever you want to call it, Richard Meyer.
Oh, see, Richard Meyer was a bizarre one in Fatal Fury because he used to jump up and grab hold of the ceiling, and I found that used to confuse me.
And he had them ridiculous legs, didn't he?
And he had the MC Hammer trousers, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you said master, I was so worried you were going to say Jubei.
Oh, the bloke who throws turds at people.
Yeah, exactly. And then you try to explain to me that it was like a Japanese sweet roll. And I go, it definitely looks like a Duke. It definitely looks... I generally thought that's what it was. I mean, I don't know. I mean, playing like... I mean, because the rich legacy that King of Fighters can grab from. So the Fatal Fury is the real bout, the Art of Fighting. Did Lee ever make it? Lee from Art of Fighting ever make it in? The guy with the mask?
Yeah, he was in a couple, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I've seen him in King of Fighters before.
I think he was in 11 and a couple before that, I think.
Because he's a tricky... I'll tell you what, he's a tricky bugger in Art of Fighting. So...
Yeah, when he does that spin.
Yeah, I don't like
that. The chip, even if you block it, the chip damage on that is ridiculous.
Yeah, but isn't he too similar to Choi?
Yeah.
So that's probably why the decision wasn't made for him. I mean, this is the bit of a hot take here. I mean, if you go back to Fatal Fury, I actually have, in recent months, I don't mind Duck King anymore.
No, Duck's cool. Yeah.
He's a tricky character because where he's, you know, when you get these dancing characters and you cannot predict what they're going to do. That's kind of the strength of Duck King.
He's kind of got that. He's like a 2D Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird thing, right? So, King of Fighters 15, I think, brought in a lot of new characters. Now, the rich rosters they can gather from all these other games. They brought in these new kind of characters into the series at the expense of some of what I would call the classic characters. So, for example, who's missing? Who's missing in King of Fighters for you? 15, I mean.
I would say Kyo's dad.
Kyo's dad?
Yeah, he was in 95. I can't remember his name.
I can't even remember him. I mean, I played... 95 was the one I discovered Kyo in. I didn't realise his dad was in it.
Yeah, you fight him before you fight Rugal.
I might have to go back and watch my video for it, because I honestly can't remember. I'm going about 3 years here, but yeah. Okay, I mean, again, that's very lore-based. Kyo was...
Seisu, I just googled it.
Seisu, there we go. I mean, Kyo wasn't in anything prior to King of Fighters, was he? He's exclusively a King of Fighters character.
Yeah, he was brought in for 94, yeah.
Right, okay. I mean, again, absolute staple in the series. Such a good character. Lots of people gravitate towards him, and you know, rightfully so.
Yeah. But no, I'd have Seisu in place of that Ponce with the pillow.
Oh god, yeah.
Metin could be whatever his stupid name.
Because there's like two stand users now, almost. I mean, for those of you who watch JoJo, I see them as stand users. They're that girl with the hands floating around her, isn't there? I mean, she doesn't look like a bad character, don't get me wrong. I think she's an interesting character to look at, but I suppose... And I have the same thing with all the modern fighters, that they'll bring in a new character at the expense of someone who I consider classic.
Yeah, I mean, there's Shune, he sucks.
Who's the Sandman guy with the dagger? There's a guy with a hood, isn't there? Who's just like the Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
Who's that?
Kukri.
Kukri. Yes, the fact he's named after a knife.
Yeah. And Isla is the one with them stupid hands.
Yeah, she's like the proper stand user. She's like straight out of Persona, isn't she?
See what they've done? They've got Shune and Pillow Ponce, and they've lumped in Benimaru with them.
Hang on, Benimaru ran with Kyo.
He was in Team Japan. Yeah.
Ah, that's done a dirty on Benimaru there, isn't it?
And then you've got Isla and Dolores, who's another new one who fights with mud or some ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I've seen her. Yeah, I know who you mean.
She's got that sort of Rapunzel hair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And for some reason they've lumped in Hayden with them too.
Hayden?
Yeah.
But what? that doesn't make any sense. That kind of sounds like, you know, when you get married and you have like some friends who don't know everyone else in it, so you just kind of put them on a table all together. You have like a miscellaneous table when you plot a wedding. Yeah, that's basically what that sounds like.
Yeah, and they don't say a word to each other all night.
Yeah, exactly. They just kind of make small talk all night because they just don't know each other because they realise they're on the miscellaneous table. Yeah.
And what they've also done is there's Team Orochi.
So which is Shermie, Chris, and
Matey Boy with the white hair.
Yeah. No, not Kensu. Oh no, I know Yakitori.
Yakuro.
Thank you. It sounds like Yakitori. Yeah.
Then there's also Team Awakened Orochi, which is the same team but evil. So we get two versions of Chris, who sucks.
Is Kensu made it to 15?
No.
See, I like Kensu in 13. So.
Yeah, no, he was alright. Yeah, he wears the green outfit, doesn't he?
Yes, that's right. He's the one who eats the bow, isn't he?
That's right, yeah.
I mean, I know there was like an input you could do to eat the bow and you get like health back or something ridiculous. I don't think I ever used it. I like Kensu. I mean, Kensu I found is a very, very fluid character. So
right, yeah, when he eats I think it's like a pork bun or something.
We love a pork bun, mate. Chassis bean bow.
And that brings back his health. And a friend of ours, I used to annoy him to keep restoring my health with that soup.
That is on par with the Yoshimitsu sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Getting health back in a fighting game is illegal as hell. I don't like recoverable health. Once you've lost that health, you've lost it. What's the point of a fighting game if you're just going to get it back?
And Elena's in Third Strike.
Has Elena got one?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Oh.
She one of her supers that you can choose from.
Oh.
And then obviously you've got Matey Boy's Resurrection.
Don't get... Oh, no. Look,
Yeah.
most of these podcasts we do, if we can avoid talking about Gil, that's all the better, yeah? I don't like Gil. I don't like him. He's in a Basel kit. Go away. I mean, he's
either Crystal Palace at home or FC Basel.
He's definitely Basel, yeah. I've seen Basel play as well. Okay, cool. Right.
But there's two more characters that I don't like.
Go
in
for it.
KOF,
Okay.
which I would easily have exchanged out for two better ones.
But look, we did this with Tekken, so go for it. Who if you kind of were SNK, who were you axing from 15?
Sylvie, that walking birthday cake looking thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and Hinako, which is the schoolgirl looking sumo wrestler. It's just a stupid idea for a character, if you ask me.
Yeah, see, I don't really know them, so they must be relatively new to the series.
No, Hinako's been in it for a long time, but Sylvie came in it in 14. Sylvie is a tribute to some kind of J-pop person.
Right.
I don't know who, because I don't know.
She
J-pop.
sounds like a Rainbow Mika of KOF.
No, Mika was actually good. Sylvie Paula sucks.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, like I said, this is your opinion. I haven't played 15, so I've got no horse in this race, if you will. But okay, that's just it. That's your opinion, and you have played it a lot through time and played this particular current version. So yeah, I'm totally validating your opinion on this. So I can't really comment because I haven't even played 15.
Yeah.
So
No, that's fair enough. But yeah, those are the characters I'd axe, and I can think of probably a dozen to put in their place, to fill those spots.
how good would the modern Neo Geo Battle Coliseum be?
Oh, if they did another one, that would be. I think it'd be brilliant.
Could you imagine in the modern era a Neo Geo Battle Coliseum 2 with all the games that SNK have created now to coalesce into one fighting game?
Yeah.
Without the Martians from Bloomin' Metal Slug, but I mean, that is annoying. I can't stand them.
Like in SVC, the Mars people. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they're in Battle Coliseum as well. I know I said we weren't going to talk about the spin-offs here, but here I am mentioning Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. But yeah, I just think that'd be so good. But maybe we'll save that particular podcast for another time. Is there anything else you want to cover, or are we good?
No, I'm good.
Marvellous. I suppose that leaves us. That is the end, kind of, our King of Fighters podcast. So, I mean, if you have come this far with us, thank you very much for choosing to spend your time with us, and we appreciate you still being here and still listening to us kind of ramble on about King of Fighters. I mean, there was a lot to get through with King of Fighters. We've had to condense this quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because
got a bit off on our tangents, but that's what we do.
Yeah, I know, exactly. We're very over-analytical and we do go off on tangents. But, I mean, it is King of Fighters. King of Fighters is a huge series. To condense this into roughly an hour, we have had to cut so much. So, for that reason, honestly, thank you so much for kind of sticking with us. So, hi, what are you up to? Do you want to give one final plug of your YouTube channel and Twitch?
Yes, thank you. I'm currently not streaming on Twitch at the moment. I'm taking a break that's however
long a break takes.
It's gonna, however long it lasts, that's how long it will be. And my YouTube is currently only producing shorts, but it is Hayabusa's Fight Palace. Do check those out. I'm doing shorts called Quick Combos. Nothing too over elaborate, just like it says on the tin, quick combos for fighting games. So if you do check those out, I hope you enjoy them.
That's cool, and the details for that will be in the description and down below in the description. But if you're watching this on YouTube, it would have popped up on your screen then. I'm Sinister Graves. I too also have a YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/@SinGame. I also am on hiatus from Twitch as well for slightly different reasons, though, that I haven't actually streamed in a long time through work commitments and whatnot. But I still have a Twitch channel, still, occasionally upload stuff to there. But you'll find all our socials in the details below at the moment. And guys, we just want to say thanks again for listening to us, and hopefully we will see you for the next time. Coming up in the future, as we've mentioned before, Fatal Fury is coming out on next gen. That will definitely be a podcast in the future.
Yeah, early next year when City of the Wolves is released, we'll be straight on that.
Exactly, and then I can finally go off on one how Mark of the Wolves is one of the greatest fighters ever made.
Definitely.
But guys, thanks again for listening. We'll catch you soon. Hopefully you tune into the next one. Until then, thanks again for listening.